Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio. We proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is a woman's prerogative. We are thrilled to have you here with us today. We want to welcome all of our loyal followers, our new viewers and listeners, whether it's on the live platform, the replay, E360 TV, or our podcast platforms. Our topic today is the burden of power, forgotten responsibilities. What does this mean? Well, stay tuned and you're going to find out. So we have an incredible panel of women who are here with me today. Let me bring them out. First, our full-time panelist, our resident therapist here at USA Global TV and Radio. She also has her own Talking Heads program, and she also hosts this program at a later time on Mondays, coming into the new season when the time changes over in Australia. Her name is Caroline.heward, and she's known as the Harley Street Stress Expert, and she helps you bust your stress. Welcome to the show. Hello.
You know me better than I know me, Dr. Jacalyn.
A long time, my friend. It's really
absolutely.
I look forward to meeting you in person next month. That's really
I can't wait, and I'm looking forward to it.
What would you like to share with our audience before we bring out our other panelists?
Well, some exciting news, actually. Somebody I've known for a very long time through an organization I've belonged to for over a couple of decades has invited me to do some talking sessions at lunchtime at a hospital that looks after people with mental health issues. So I'm very, very excited about this because I'm going to talk about it on a Teams meeting on Friday to actually roll out some sessions for staff and maybe patients, I don't know. So I'm very excited, and it's new, and it's because I'm always here and people are seeing me. And so that's thanks to the fact that I'm on USA Global TV and being given presence, and so people can see what I'm up to and what I'm doing and what I can share.
Thanks so much, Caroline. You know what I just want to say is that you're really good in going on social media. And I know that there's some pitfalls of that, which we'll talk about on another show. But you're always out there promoting, and that's how people are seeing your content. It's not just showing up here. It's actually taking the time to put it out over and over again so that the algorithms let other people see it. So
tell me about it.
Let's welcome our next panelist. She's been on the show before, and I've actually had some incredible meetings with her outside of this. She really is someone I've come to be very fond of, and she's done some wonderful realigning of my chakras from a distance. Her name is Reverend Lydia Foie. Let's welcome her to the program. She's also an author, and I said your name wrong. It's Fougere. I don't know. I said foie gras. I guess I'm hungry. I don't know. Fougere. So.
There is no problem with that because actually everyone says it wrong. So I learn a new way of pronouncing my name every single week. So it is absolutely fine. And I'm very happy to be here. So hello, Dr. Jacalyn. I am very fond of you also. Hello, beautiful Caroline. I am very grateful to have you on the show today. So it's going to be very interesting, and I look forward to it. So thank you for having me today.
It's an absolute pleasure. And you came up with this topic, so we're going to get into it in a moment. We're going to welcome our next panelist, who was here with us last week for the first time, did an incredible job. Her name is Laura Windsor, and she's an etiquette expert and the founder of the Laura Windsor Etiquette. She's also an author, and she has a lot of tips for us when it comes to personal style and cross-cultural tips. So let's welcome Laura Windsor to the program. Hello.
Hello, Jacalyn. Lovely to see you again. Hi, everybody.
As well. Hello, hello. So, Reverend, the good Reverend, you and I were exchanging some messages, and I came up with one topic and you had a different topic. And so we actually kind of came together, also with the help of artificial intelligence, because I always love to run topics through AI just for search engine optimization reasons. So what does the burden of power, forgotten responsibilities mean to you? What were you thinking when we were discussing this?
Well, the power of responsibilities is very important because with great power comes great responsibilities. And we have to be careful to what we are saying when we are a public figure. Well, in life also, but especially when we are a public figure. If we are not careful to our words, if we are speaking the truth or whatever we are saying, we have responsibilities that are extremely important. We have to be respectful to others also. We have to listen to what others want. We have to actually think what on earth is going to happen with what I am doing right now. Because there is always something that happens. There's always a cause to effect. So whatever we are doing in public, there is always a repercussion on others. Since many look up at us, it's our responsibility to be good people, to talk well, no name calling, nothing like that. We have to be responsible. We have to have etiquette. We have to be responsible people. We are the image of society. So if we want to have a good society, we have to bring a good image of society. So that is the way I see it. That is, for me, the forgotten responsibilities that people have nowadays when they are public figures. So that is the way to see it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And by the way, we are coming to you from different countries. So when you come around again, let's just announce where you're from. I'm now in Florida in the United States of America with major weather that's going to be impacting us soon. So hopefully everyone will be safe. Caroline, you were not privy to the discussion of the topic, but what does it mean to you when you're hearing it now?
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, and also a very insightful overview from our beautiful Reverend. My feeling, and when I saw the topic, I felt again the same kinds of feelings of our lovely Reverend, and that is that it is important to show up and to be seen in the right way. And it's also important to share the right message that will impact people in a positive way. And many people are using social media, especially if they're public figures, to be venting in terms of saying, you did this, this person is bad, this person did this. But words are spells. And so it's, even if somebody's done us a disservice, it's important to always come at it from the right space, because words create things, and our words are frequency. So if you have the right feeling inside as to what you want to give, then that should come out, because everything is vibration. And if we are negative in our vibration, then that will follow through. If we have a higher vibration and speak from our heart, then that will come through as well. And we do have a responsibility, not just if we are a public figure on a platform like this, but to each other in our everyday, especially in our families. If we are being really negative in our families, that's not just to the other person that suffers. It's more about the person that's giving out very negative, angry energy, that they will actually suffer. And my analogy for this is, if you hold a hot coal of anger, the hot coal burns you. It doesn't burn the other person. It burns the person that's holding the anger. So there's a phrase that we have in the UK, don't vent your spleen, which is don't vent your anger, because you are the one that suffers with that anger.
I love the analogies. Thank you. And you're joining us from the UK. So thank you for that. And we have a person who is an expert when it comes to etiquette and manners. And so this topic is seemingly in line and on point with what it is that you do, Laura. What are your thoughts about this topic today?
Well, especially a person in a position of power should be certain of the manners that he gives out to people. They are role models, and they should be setting an example to everyone. And I totally agree with Caroline on the front that it's not just people in a position of power, but even within the family. The parents, a leader should be setting an example to everyone around. And I can understand sometimes we forget our manners and may not be very courteous, but it's more about how we deal with our faux pas. We have to be accountable for the way we behave to others, and therefore an apology is definitely needed. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all say the wrong things, but it's how we deal with our faux pas that are very, very important. And it's about self-awareness, especially when it comes to leaders. They need to be more self-aware. They need to be more in the present and understand how their actions impact on other people. And this is what I teach children as well, to be more self-aware, to make sure that when they have a tantrum, or whatever it is, that they become aware of the effect that it has on other people, because, as Caroline said, it does spread out. The negativity does spread on to others.
Excellent points. Thank you. I agree with what you shared as well. Very intelligent women we have here today. So here's a topic I'd like to bring up, because we're all public figures in one way or another. And I know for myself, spending so much time behind the camera or on the camera, and then when I'm off the camera, sometimes I'm not the best listener because I'm exhausted. But this week, in the last 7 days, I was given the wrong health test results that I worried about for 2 weeks. And it turns out they belong to someone else. And I've been walking around worrying for 2 weeks. And then yesterday I had an accident and I fell and I was lying on the floor in front of a room full of people and no one offered to assist me. And so what I did in each case was I checked my own emotions. And even though I was highly upset in both cases, crying in one, I thought this has nothing to do with anyone else. How I'm going to show up right now is going to say something about me. And I think that's difficult, especially when something's emotionally charged, whether it's really personal, maybe it's financial. So how is it that as leaders, when we're dealing with something of a personal nature that's highly volatile, or maybe, it's health related, that we can still show up with etiquette and manners and not take it out on the next person and take that hot coal and pass it over to somebody else? Caroline, I'm going to start with you.
Thank you. I knew you were going to ask me first, because even the things that came up, I can hear transference. Because what we can do if we're having a bad time, if we're having a difficult time, it's very easy, because we're human and, we are a human being having a human experience. And it's so easy when we're in our humanness to almost kind of make it someone else's fault that we're responding and reacting the way that we are. It's your fault. You're to blame for how I feel. And in the counseling world, we call that somebody does that reaction a transference. So they push it onto you so that the other person has to deal with it. And then they think they're absolved of the responsibility, the burden of the responsibility of their reaction and their response to you. And the fact that you had enough self-awareness to consider hang on a minute, this has happened to me. How do I handle it? You know, you've actually handled it in a very self-aware position. Yes, you've been very upset, and that will cause an inner anger, which is absolutely human for you to be feeling angry. But it could just be we live in our current world of technology, and the technology doesn't always work as well as we want it to. And so it's only as good as the person that puts the information in. And these things can happen. And sometimes when an accident like that happens, in terms of the wrong information, we almost have to say, phew, I'm glad that hasn't been the real result. I'm glad it's not mine, and almost have compassion for the person's results that it could have been or it was. And also being self-aware, managing your emotions was beautiful. When I fall over, I just lie there because I'm in shock, and I always get help, but then I'm being a real woman when it comes to things like that, because if I fall over, I'm in complete shock, and so it takes me a few moments before I can actually come to. And whenever that happens, always people come and help me. So it might just be that you were up quicker than you thought it was, but it's good to be aware of how you feel about things that happen.
Absolutely. Thanks, Caroline. From a psychological perspective, that makes a lot of sense. And I look at it like, well, I got to walk out of this cancer center where some people didn't. I got to get up on the floor yesterday and move on and go to urgent care, whereas I could have cracked my head or broken my teeth or something else could have happened. So I thank God that in the universe that I was able to get up and do those things, look for the positives. Reverend, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, my thoughts are that lately I read a book that is called Fight Right. And I do not remember who is the author. It's a couple. And I love the book because it's about fighting in the right way, because there's always something that comes up. But I live in my entire life, because I was a registered nurse my entire life, and we cannot deal with emotions. If we're angry, we cannot go to our patients and be angry. We always have to control ourselves. So the thing is that we never speak like, I am angry at you. We just, I feel there is something, and we do not lose it. Absolutely not. We're not allowed to lose it. So we practice that in our everyday life, because we work sometimes 10 days, 16 hours a day. So that is our everyday life. We're in control all the time. It does not mean we're not angry sometimes, but the thing is that we manage to keep it together. Meditation has helped me all my life to keep it together, which helps. So I do suggest it to many, many people. But there is also, when I was young, I was taught at school something that is quite the opposite of what it is about. They used to say, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me, which is not true at all. Because sticks and stones, actually, you will heal, but names, sometimes you never get over it. Bullying, you never get over it. So the thing is that, we have to be respectful, and it's important to choose our words, whether it's in a professional manner or if it's in a family matter. We have to choose our words. And the best way is that if we are angry, we just take a pause. We leave. That is it. We try to de-escalate what's going on. We leave, then we come back when we are calm. Not to have this drama going on, because the other person might not be in control of their emotion. There's someone that has to be in control of the emotion. So there is someone that has to de-escalate the situation. That is the way I feel. We have to be responsible for our feelings and the way we talk to others and the way we respond to others.
That's very insightful, Reverend. I love that. I do that myself. I will just acknowledge the other person and say, thank you for sharing. I'm going to take a minute or 5 minutes, and then I leave the room. And I may come back or I may not come back, depending on how I feel, if I've collected my emotions or not. Because I found the worst thing is when you have two people who are escalating, it's getting, hotter and higher like a fire. And then nobody can hear what anyone else has to say. So, Laura, I'm going to give you an opportunity to comment on that. And then I also have another question for you after that.
Okay. Well, I so agree with the ladies. Let me give you an example. And this is what I teach my children. I ask them to do this to a piece of paper, step on it, do whatever you want, make it as small as possible. And then I ask them to uncrease it. And I say, what is the difference? This piece of paper was nice and flat before, it had no creases. What is the difference? And they look at it and they say, well, it's creased. And they're wondering why I'm asking them. I'm asking them because every time someone is bullied, every time someone says nasty things to the other people, this is what happens. It leaves scars on your soul, in your psyche, and it'll stay with you forever, perhaps. So that was a brilliant statement you made, Reverend, about how things can really scar you. And it's all about social intelligence, isn't it? It really depends what kind of background you've lived in. If you are growing up with a highly charged set of parents who shout, and that is the only way they can communicate, and you want to be a leader, you really have to start training the brain through practice in order to be more emotionally intelligent and to control your emotions and to look at life in a sort of step back and think, yes, this is happening to me, but in the whole picture of things, is it going to kill me? Am I in danger? Is it really going to make that much difference? And these are the kind of things that you need to think about when you are in a highly charged situation. It isn't that bad. You can deal with it. And again, it's about meditating as well. That does help. And the ujjayi breathing, which is a very deep breathing, and it is meant to control your nervous system a little bit more. It's allowing you to relax, and it's actually from the throat. It's not really breathing the air in your nose, and that can help in a highly charged situation.
Excellent tips for all of us here today and also for our audience. Thank you for that. Laura, I'm going to come back to you with a question because I feel like it really falls underneath etiquette and manners. And it's interesting because the other two ladies will also have some expertise in this area. So what I found is, especially on this platform, we have people coming from all parts of the world, and people speak different languages. They have accents. We even have a show now that's completely in German, which is amazing. So sometimes I've heard from people, I can't understand what these British people are saying. I can't understand what the people from this country are saying. I can't. So when you engage with someone and they are from another country and maybe they're speaking at a different pace, a different clip, how do you manage those relationships without being disrespectful? Because I can't say to you, Laura, what was that? Can you repeat that? I can't understand. How do you deal with that? What's the best way?
Well, coming from the UK, we as British people, I'm sure Caroline understands this, we kind of put the blame on ourselves. For example, if I don't understand what you've just said, I would say, oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't get much sleep last night, or I got out the wrong side of the bed. Could you repeat what you said? I got blocked up ears or whatever. And it's just very simply say, would you be able to repeat that for me, please? And if I still don't understand, well, it's not my fault. Perhaps in a lesson, I always recommend that if a person isn't very clear, to have elocution lessons, because communication is the most important thing that we need. If people aren't there, they're not going to be listening, or they'll stop listening if they can't understand what you're saying. So I imagine that if I'm saying, I'm terribly sorry, could you repeat that? 100 other people have told them as well. And perhaps they will do something about it, hopefully.
Excellent. Yes, I agree with that, because I think also it's the pace at which we speak, it's the tonality, and it's
Yes,
understanding if
yes.
you're in a position where you are engaging with other people, people need to be able to understand what you're saying. If you're hearing it over and over again, I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. I'm sorry, I didn't
They'll
understand.
know.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
might be time to work with a coach so that people can understand you. Now, Caroline, there's a lot of emotions that come up for people in situations like this. For example, I was just with a physician and I could not understand what he was saying. So I didn't say, I'm sorry, I'm just saying, do whatever you need to do. Just go ahead and do it, because I really couldn't understand what he was saying. But something like that, maybe it's a training issue, maybe it's an awareness issue. But for the other person, it's also, you feel uncomfortable. That's how I felt. So what would you say as a therapist to do with that discomfort?
There's a couple of things. If I'm on a call, I always, if I can, and it's handy, put in a headset so that if they are very quiet, I can hear them much more clearly. So that's one thing I do. The second thing that I do is I tell them that it's important to me to hear everything that they've said, because I want to know what they've said so I can genuinely help them. And if I don't hear what they've said, I'm going to ask them to repeat it. In the case, because I want to know and I want to be specific in how I help that person. So I'm kind of putting the blame on myself, as Laura said, I didn't hear that. Can you please repeat that? Because it's important for me to hear exactly what you're saying. So as a British person, I would say that I do take some responsibility and not make the other person feel inferior. The other thing that I will do, especially when people are stressed or anxious, they mumble. And if they're mumbling and you can't hear, you almost have to sort of semi-lip read. And doctors in particular, they don't have time. They're hugely stressed. And more to the point, they have to get a lot of information across very quickly. And they're saying probably the same things over and over again. It's like if somebody asks you what your name is, unless you've done some training like we have done, you'll probably say your name very quickly. And if you hear somebody say, sorry, I didn't catch your name, what was your name again? And then they say it quickly again and you don't catch it, it's because we're not comfortable to say our name, so we say it quickly to get it out of the way, especially if you've not done any public speaking training. So if the doctor is speaking quickly, and if somebody does that to me, I would just say, I really want to understand I really want to hear what you're saying, and I missed what you're saying. Do you mind repeating it? Because it's important to me to understand what it is and where we go from here. As the patient, I need to understand what the next steps are. And if I don't understand where I am, it's very difficult for me to take the next steps going forward. So I make it so that what they're saying is so important to me that I really want to hear it. And it then takes away the pressure of them feeling that they're not understood, and more to the point that I'm really listening and I want to hear what they're saying. And what generally happens after that is they will go slowly and they will say what they need to say to you more slowly, because they're used to people not wanting to listen to them, not bothered to listen to them. And if you ask them nicely and in the right way, they will feel that you want to hear what they have to say. So they'll say it to you so you hear.
Thank you, Caroline. You make people feel special, and what they have to say is important. Reverend, I'm going to go to you, but I have another question for Laura. So, Laura, I witnessed someone else in a similar situation talking behind this person's back saying, why do they have this guy as a doctor and he doesn't speak English in the United States of America? And I thought, oh my, I'm not just really angry, and then said something to the doctor, like, how could you be here when you can't even speak English? What are you doing in this country? I thought, whoa, I'm not even going anywhere near that. So what comes up for you when I share that? And then we'll go over to the Reverend.
I think these people are very frustrated, and it must have happened to them in the past, because everybody's comments are related to what's been happening to them before that. So something must have happened to them. Obviously, you don't want to go around saying things like that. Again, you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable and devalued. The manners are all about making others feel comfortable, not embarrassing other people. So that is at the forefront of everything. That's all I can say to you. They must have been frustrated.
Absolutely. That was coming up for them because they had been through it before, it sounds like. Thank you.
Yeah.
Reverend Lydia, my question for you is, you are the all-knowing when it comes to communicating with spirit, source, and the universe. Are we put into these positions because we're to learn a lesson? Is there a message when we're in these circumstances?
In those circumstances, actually, what we have to do is that we have to listen to the vibration of the person. So we have to really be in tune. We have to be calm, be in tune, and we have to know our own limits also. Because as Laura so well said, they are hurt from their past experience. So we have to try to understand what they went through. And what happens is that if we try to just understand what they went through instead of judging them, because we never judge a person for what they're doing, because the thing is that we do not know anything about their life or what happened to them in the past. So if we judge a person according to our experience, well, we are wrong. We are absolutely wrong because we want them to act like us. So that's a form of control. So when we go and listen to the vibration of the person, and when we are a person that sees auras or things like that, we see the aura change color several times when we talk to someone. It all depends on if they understand how they feel, if they're happy, if they're angry, if they're sad with us. So we have to observe very, very well. But we also have to be very careful, because if we observe the aura, we can also be judgmental. So we have to be even more careful if we see auras, because we do not know what happened to the person 5 minutes before when they were talking to us. So this is another way of being judgmental. If we see the other dimension, we have to be extremely careful when we are intuitive, when we see auras, when we can read when we can read chakras also. We can actually, while reading chakras, what happens is that sometimes a person that reads chakras will decide for themselves what is going wrong with the person. Well, it's not them. It's not them to decide. Actually, absolutely not. It's for them to help, not for them to decide if it's fine or not. They only have to help. They're helpers. They're not judges. That is the way I see it.
Excellent. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that, Reverend. I really appreciate it. So I think you're all sharing information that's really important for our audience. We're coming to the end of the show. So before we go around and give information about ourselves, what would you like to share that we haven't discussed when it comes to the burden of power, forgotten responsibility? Is something coming up for you that you think I really want the audience to know this? Caroline.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. I totally agree with what Lydia has just shared, because I also work with the chakras, and I always see it's an opportunity to help someone rather than to judge them. If somebody is being very angry, then there's something going on in their background, not my background. The one thing that's coming up for me is I grew up in church from the age of 5, and from the age of 5, I learnt the 10 Commandments, and I really do my best to hold those. And one of them is, do unto others as you wish to be done unto yourself. And so if you want to be treated kindly and well and not out of anger or jealousy, then deliver that to someone else. And even though that can be very tough in volatile situations, I do feel I do my best to do that. And I'll always put my foot forward to help someone. And if they're not open to be helped, then you can't push or force. I always ask for permission. And sometimes people are actually invested in their suffering, and then I step away. So do unto others as you wish to be done to yourself.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Laura.
Yes, well, that's the golden rule, isn't it? Do unto others as you want others to treat you. So that is at the essence of etiquette. And I always tell the children, now, if you're going to be mean to someone, would you like someone to be mean to you? I won't go through examples at the moment, but then they sort of think and go, And if they're unsure, I say to them, don't do it. So only do things that you are sure you would like others to do to you. And it's the same in most religions. The practice is the same throughout civilization. And they're ancient practices as well, that since time began. So I really do firmly believe in the golden rule, and I think it's if that's at the forefront of your mind. And my mother was very strict, and she always said to me, she always spoke to me about the golden rule. If you practice it and put it in the forefront of your mind, you will get on better with people, because before you say something or before you think something, you'll ask yourself, would I like someone to do that to me? However, we all have different experiences, and perhaps what we may not like someone to do to us is okay for another. And it's also very cultural as well. For example, in Italy, they're a little bit more laid back, and they don't take offense so much. They don't take word for word. They don't get offended as much. Whereas we Brits were a little bit more reserved. So if someone says something that is out of our British perspective, we may take offense much more easily. And being half Italian, half English, I have seen the differences. I can be more myself. I can be more expressive with Italians, for example, whereas with British people, I have to watch what I say a little bit more, because I don't want to offend and I don't want to invade someone's privacy and someone's space. So it varies culturally, I believe.
Another fabulous takeaway from the show. Thank you very much. Reverend, over to you quickly as we have to close out the show. What are your thoughts?
Well, I do not have much to say. The only thing I work with is that it's not about my self-interest. It's about the interest of the mass. So that's the way I see things. I want the mass to actually gain from what I know. It's not about me. It's about the mass. That is all.
All right. Thank you, Reverend. What's the best way for people to reach you, and who would you like to contact you?
They can contact me on Diva Divine Mother on Instagram, or lydiafougere.com, which is my website. I'd be very grateful if they join me. I'd be very happy.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Laura, what about you? Who's a good client and how can they reach you?
Yes, well, you can reach me on www.laurawindsoretiquette.com. I'm also on Instagram at Laura Windsor Etiquette, or WhatsApp. My WhatsApp number is actually on the website, so please feel free to get in touch.
Thank you so much for making it easy for people to reach you. Caroline.
Well, if you want me to help you bust your stress, if you are stressed, anxious, depressed, if you are suffering with your relationships or suffering with a bereavement, if you are angry, if you are really angry and you want to thump someone, reach out to me. I can help you bust your stress. You can find me and follow me on LinkedIn, on Facebook. You can reach out to me on my email address, which is nomorestress@live.co.uk, or call if you're international +44. If you're local, 07523 120 189. And I look forward to helping you bust your stress.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Reverend. It was an absolute pleasure having you all here today. And thank you to everyone who's watching on the live or the replay. Please do go to our YouTube channels and subscribe. We just crossed over 50,000 subscribers. Yay, on our one channel, 25,000 on our other. And of course, we are also on E360 TV. Hello, Aaron, and hello to your team. And we are on Roku. We're on Amazon. We're on Zizzle TV. So you can find us almost anywhere. And soon we will be opening an in-person location in the United States if you want to come in person and do your interview. Woo! More about that later. All right, we're signing off for now. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Please do join us then. Take care. Bye.